So this is the Twilight episode.
Yeah.
AKA, welcome to La Push Beach, bitches. So, okay, so basically for me, I mean, you really can't not be aware of fucking Twilight. Like, it's impossible because we were,
it's everywhere.
you know, the books came out in 2005. They made the first movie in 2008. So when the first books came out, I was 21, so I could have possibly been into it. But also at the same time as Twilight, there was also True Blood, which were adult sexy vampires who fucked. So I mean, I was much more into that. When the movies came out, I was another 3 years older, so I was 24. Again, gonna watch True Blood because those are vampires that fuck and don't sparkle. So that was my thing. So I was like, I'm not even gonna touch Twilight. I'm not even gonna go there. And you know, so never read the books, never watched the movies. And that's been the thing that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I feel like as an elder millennial, as somebody from that generation, so many of us actually did at 21 read those books, or younger, maybe like 18, 19, maybe even like 17 years old. If you were a millennial in high school at the time, you probably read them. You probably loved them even at the time, because you know, you're a teenager and he's a safe but sexy broody vampire boy.
Exactly.
You know? So
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like if I had been in the actual if I had been a teenager at the time, I would have loved these books.
Yeah.
Right up my alley.
Because he's smitten with her immediately, and then once they open up to each other, his
smell
devotion,
like a wrecked lamb, girl.
his devotion is 100%, and it never falters. He's like, and you know what? It's funny. In Inside Out, they have that "I would die for you, Riley." the assembly line of boyfriends that look like Edward. So it makes perfect sense for teenage girls to be like, he's not pressuring her for anything. In fact, he's like, no, we can't do this. Like, we can't do it at all. The bite, which AKA sex. That's what that stands in for. We all know it.
That's what that means. Okay.
So he's not pressuring her, but he is bringing her into his home, having her meet his family. They love her. And then they are devoted to one another. And that's ideal because it's everything you want without the pressure of that big choice. Of that, you know, thing that irrevocably changes your life.
Yes.
So I 100% understand the appeal to teenage girls. And once again, as I've said, I understand that this woman who wrote this was Mormon, because that is also very Mormon. Your whole courtship takes place in front of your family, and they all know that you're doing this with the intent of marrying forever, aka becoming a vampire forever. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So, you know, but that
can't change your mind.
But I do know that Twilight was a cultural, like, I don't want to say like a milestone, a cultural keystone. Like, it was a big
phenomenon, I would say. Sure.
Yeah, it was a phenomenon because it has a parody called Vampires Suck, which is probably awful. I think I've never watched it. We might have to do that at some point for bonus material. Perhaps that will be something later down the road.
No, I've seen Vampires Sucks.
Okay.
It's not good.
Does it suck?
Yeah, so there's a scene I remember from Vampires Suck is the Sullens. That's what they're called.
The Sullens.
That's fantastic.
We're gonna watch that at some point. That will have to happen.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
I will, for sure.
Yeah. The Sullens walk in, and it's Raven's friend from That's So Raven. It's something to the effect of, who are those douchebags? And it just cuts to, it's like, oh, that's the cats of the Jersey Shore. And it's like 7 people that barely look like people from the Jersey Shore. Just, it cuts immediately to them, and you're like, oh my God, this movie's awful.
Yeah. Well, there was a time, our 20s, for all of us, I think. It's funny, Drew is the only person who was a teenager when Twilight came out. So he's the only person that would have been in the demographic for the books at the time they were published.
And I was 21 when the movie came out. And that's when I started watching Spill.com. They've since become Double Toasted. It was like a movie review website. And I always remember the Twilight review because they're just like, we did not know what to expect going in. They didn't get a press screening, so they had to go to the midnight showing. And when they walked in the midnight showing, there are so many girls there that they're like, oh my God, we look like pedophiles. Like, this is like, they were so frightened of looking like pedophiles that they were just like, oh my God, why didn't we do this?
We didn't think this through.
And so, like, when the movie hit and it became the smash it did, like, I didn't go to the movies to see it. I waited until when I came to Blockbuster and I watched it, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then, well, I mean, we're gonna
womp womp.
I mean, we're gonna definitely get into it. We're gonna get into Blackula. We're gonna get into
Oh God, yeah.
shit.
But no, okay. So that's funny though. There was all this hype, and then you watched it, and it was just like a big letdown. You're like, oh wow, this is what everyone was fucking losing their shit over. That's funny.
But it's not my demographic, and that's one of the things. As a person who's gone to film school, and as a person who watches movies regularly, I'm like, oh, okay, this is not my demographic. So there's times where I'm like, I'm not gonna make fun of this so much, because it's not for me. Like, I'll make fun of this movie. I have no problem with that. But
like, you'll make fun of the technical aspects. So, I mean, and again, we're just kind of like previewing things to come. But because we did this, we are, of course, also going to do 50 Shades at some point, because this is the blueprint in the timeline of terrible, slightly toxic, to very toxic romances. You have Twilight, which is just kind of terrible, not super toxic, but kind of just ridiculous. And Twilight spawned the Edward and Bella fanfic, which became the basis for 50 Shades, which is Anastasia and I completely forgot his name. Christian Grey. So then that spawned that. And then the other thing that was huge during that time was One Direction. There was a very, very well-known, I guess, Harry Styles fanfic. I may be wrong. I'm not sure. Actually, Harry Styles fanfic. And that became the basis for a Wattpad novel called After, which is in a similar vein. It's another ridiculous, tropey, like, not good at all, toxic romance about just can't stay away from this person, and it's a dramatic relation. There's 3 of these movies. They're on Netflix, right? Netflix or Prime? I forget which one.
They're on streaming. You can catch them.
You can catch them. They're terrible. You'll laugh the entire time. But it's just funny that these things that were so prevalent in the early to mid, the whole, first aughts, 2000 to 2010, there was this period of just like overwrought, insane romance.
Oh yeah.
Women. Like it was big. Like, even in, like I said, I liked True Blood more because they were adult vampires who had sex and were hot, which was cool. And there were werewolves that were also hot and fucking. So it was a great show for me. But even in that one, there's a bunch of insane shit happening. Like, the main character has 2 men fighting over her, one who's a little too devoted, like a Southern Edward. It's like a Jasper Edward combo.
I got started in June of 2003 when I had this really great dream about a vampire and a girl having a conversation in a meadow, and couldn't stop thinking about it, so I wrote it down. And really, there was no background to my writing. It came out of nowhere. But once I got started, I didn't need another dream to keep going because I had the characters. And when you have the conflict and the, how is this going to work out? What would happen to them next? The story really writes itself.
The movie, I'm trying to remember like the kind of basic gist of it. So Bella, her parents are divorced, correct?
Yes.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the thing that made me laugh, very first thing off, is her mom is like, sweetie, I'm having way too much fun fucking my baseball player boyfriend as he goes across the country, so you just gotta go stay with your dad for a little while. Like, that's literally what's happening.
Right?
We all know that's what's happening. And so that's why Bella leaves Phoenix to go to Fork. So she goes from the hottest, most deserty area in America, and she goes to the wettest, cloudiest place in America. And she says, I hate to be wet, or something like that. Was it I hate rain or something? She's like a cat.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be there at all.
I don't like being wet. Ah, like a cat. Like, that's her. So she moves there, and her dad actually is the most normal person in the movie.
Seriously, yeah.
Charlie is like from another film altogether. He's if we're watching a movie about Charlie, he is just a single dad trying his best.
Doing his hardest.
And he literally
works and never stops.
Exactly. Like he never even says anything remotely like off the wall to her. He's understanding, he's supportive.
Bells. I put a new can of pepper spray in your bag.
Dad.
And, you look beautiful.
Thanks. See ya.
He's a cop dad with a mustache, and he is like not what you're expecting. At least not for me. I was not expecting that, but I had kind of heard people say here and there that like Charlie is very like completely separate from everything that's going on.
Oh yeah,
he is 100% normal, just a guy being a dude. You know, that's Charlie.
Yeah,
I would say the only crazy thing he did, and he didn't even really do it. It's more of the way they set up the shot is when Bella first brings Edward home. He's having a shotgun, but he doesn't do the
right.
I mean,
right.
Let me go talk to this boy.
None of that typical stuff, but we see the image that comes out of nowhere.
Which is what I guess they wanted us to. I don't know, but
wanted us to understand.
Yeah, I guess, but it's very funny to me, and I see why people. There's like a lot of people online who've always been like justice for Charlie, like Charlie is the best, and I'm like, he kind of is pretty cool. From what I can see, and he's nice to Gil Birmingham's character. I cannot remember his name because I suck. Oh my gosh, I should have this in my notes.
God! Because every time I see him, I just think his name, Gil Birmingham.
Yeah, it's Gil Birmingham. We know Gil Birmingham. We just don't know his
everywhere.
character.
He's the voice of Forge.
Oh, okay, cool. I did not know that. Billy, well, Billy kind of has the. He's a werewolf, so he's a little weird, but he's also pretty dad. He's also just pretty much a dad. Like
yeah.
Like you can tell.
He's one of the most endearing characters in the whole thing, I think.
No, he really is, yeah. And I love him and Charlie being like goofy buds together. Like it's kind of sweet. It's kind of nice to see this like cool dads in media because you don't really get to see it a lot.
I told you she'd love it. I'm down with the kids.
Oh yeah, dude. You're the bomb.
The scene is so funny, like when Bella meets Shake Up, right? So when that happens, the parents go off and they're play fighting, and he's in the wheelchair play fighting, and I'm like, how does that work? Because they're just like, and then you're like, man, if you don't, this motherfucker will run over. Don't do that.
Oh my God. So
I'll roll this wheel over your foot.
So that happens, and we all whatever. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't super duper catching my eye, but like when she finally goes to school and she starts making friends, the funniest thing to me is it doesn't feel like a 2000s movie. It feels like something from the 90s because they're like, "Hey Arizona, hey Arizona."
What's up, Arizona? Huh?
That's like something. It reminded me of Hocus Pocus when the kid goes to school and they find out he's
I watched
like,
that this morning.
What's up, Hollywood?
Right.
Yeah,
it's like
same thing.
Anytime there's a small town, they always know the brand new person,
They know everything about them. That is, and that's the funniest thing, given that these people in this town have done more research on Bella, who is boring, nondescript. They know more about this girl than the fucking weird Cullens, who are all dating each other. No one's ever bothered to ask questions about that, but they know every single thing about Bella Swan. Where she's from, what she did, but they just know everything about this girl.
Isabella? Did the taciturn Charlie walk around telling people about her?
Right? Did he like, oh, my daughter's coming. She's clumsy as fuck. You should be ready for that. Oh, you know what? The first person she meets is that kid named Eric, and he has the most emo hair I have ever seen in my life. You can tell this movie is from 2005. He's got the whoosh bangs.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I remember seeing that and I was like, I didn't know that there was something they would put in a movie ever, because you only ever saw it like on Tumblr and like on people outside. You see it on TV a lot.
The emo Harry Potter years when Harry and Ron had long ass hair in the movies.
Yeah, the witch.
Those are my favorite.
They have like this hair that's like super, up here, long and shaggy.
That was the year that the twins had the best hair.
The Witch Olympic years, according to the Witch Olympics. So she meets him and he's like super nice. Like it's so funny. Like everyone's actually really nice to her. Like that's kind of cool too, because like there's no one that makes fun of her really. The only one that kind of makes fun of her, you find out later, it's because he has a crush on her. Mike is cute. The nicest
He's
white
a
boy.
Sweetie, right? There are like two things that that are best about both the books and the movies, and neither of them have anything to do with the story. In the books, it's the jacket covers, great jacket covers, and in the films, it's casting, because Mike Newton's a sweetheart. He's charming as hell.
Yeah, and it's
like
kind of
perfectly goofy, and the way he like moved around, that was perfect. Chef's kiss teenager.
But my favorite part is when Mike starts talking to her, Anna Kendrick just comes out of nowhere like a little blonde block, and it's just like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you talking about? What are you doing?" It's like, do not step on my fucking territory, you fucking bitch. I don't care if you're all the way from Arizona and your big city ideas. This motherfucker.
City ideas.
Well,
no, she technically is from a big city. She's from Phoenix, so it is a big city, quote unquote.
Certainly a lot bigger than Forks.
So we're having a casting call for Twilight here. We were looking for, a wide variety of extras, background, featured extras, stand-ins, photo doubles for the cast. It's very important to Catherine, the director, that we have a lot of locals, give everybody the opportunity. It's an exciting project to be shooting here.
Woo! Getting back to it, because, airs happen. Mike and Anna Kendrick, I don't know her name. Anna Kendrick relationship. Jessica.
Isn't that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've only seen the other movies once. I've seen this one multiple times. It's that thing where you see somebody who's actually a good, accomplished actress.
Yes.
And
like, what am I doing here?
As it progresses during the series, you can see her get more and more impatient. You're just like, I literally just got nominated for an Oscar and I have to come back to this.
Right?
Why?
You can tell she's contracted. There's a contract involved here. So she's like,
oh yeah. That's where they lucked out with the casting.
That brings me, because remember how we said like why they all know everything about her, right? And like they all know she's from Arizona. And one of the funniest things happened is before Mean Girls, we had but you're from Phoenix. Why are you so white?
Right?
Like, why aren't you tan? And I was like,
classic.
I was like, you can't just ask people why they aren't tan. We have I like that she makes an actual good group of friends. Like, it's kind of cool, like refreshing to see the new kid be welcome. It's weird how there's such a normal movie embedded in this weird movie,
in this bizarreness.
Right?
Yeah.
Because then immediately after she has her friends, she's got Jessica and Mike and Eric, and I forget the girl's name with the glasses, the one that crushes on Eric.
Angela.
They're all really nice kids. They're nice to her. They're supportive. The one thing that cracked me up when they do introduce vampires into the movie is Jessica is narrating this for all of us. I love Jessica being our narrator in this. She's like, oh, those are the Cullens. Like, they're really weird. Like, they all are dating each other. And I was like, they're what? Everyone is just like, these foster children are all dating each other. And everyone's like, it's so normal and fine. It's not normal. They know it's weird. But they're all like, what are you gonna do? It's the Cullens.
Like,
we don't know. We don't ask questions. We just go, that's weird, but we don't bother them.
Colin's foster kids. They moved down here from Alaska like a few years ago. They kind of keep to themselves. Yeah, because they're all together.
They come in like an Abercrombie ad.
No,
just
literally.
Like all wearing white.
It's slow-mo and their hair is like slightly blowing in the wind.
Don't forget the horrible twangy music.
Yes.
Alice Green, or what I'm blanking on her name. Is that her actual name in real life?
I think that's her actual name.
Yeah, and she plays Alice, right?
Yeah.
Ashley Green or
Ashley Green.
Ashley Green plays Alice. Yeah.
Ashley Green comes in with Sokka from The Last Airbender, and his eyes are just like,
oh god.
And you're like,
actually, what he is doing with Jasper Hale is his best Edward Scissorhands.
That's true. He is.
That scene does not really need that.
It doesn't, and yet every time it comes on the screen, I'm laughing.
The thing that again made me go, oh, this is definitely, if I didn't know it, I would have been like, this has to be, whoever wrote this has to have either a passing connection to or be very deeply embedded in some form of Mormonism or LDS, that kind of thing. Because they talk about how Carlisle is a matchmaker for his foster children. And that, again, same thing. The elder male is like, you know what? You're going to be good with this guy. You're going to court him. You're going to marry him. That's how it's working. And I'm like, you're all saying these things like you don't need to investigate further. That this man who fosters these teen children is like, you know what? You guys should pair off. That works for me, which is funny given that they cannot have children, except because the whole thing about having children becomes a huge issue in the fourth ones. I know this. Like that's how pop culture it is. I know how much of a problem that was.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it does.
Yeah, no, trust me. We will get to it, friends. We will get there and it'll be great. But again, it's just so funny that there's this weird stuff happening and like nobody is really going further than it's just those every small town has their weirdo, that's what it is.
I did though, when we were watching it, posit that maybe they don't look too closely at it because of Carlisle's position at the hospital.
Yes,
like being a pillar of the community,
yeah.
And how when there's a man in that's kind of leadership position, they don't ever look too closely at him. And then I was reading part of the book that I read, and the longest speech we hear from Charlie is him talking about how great Carlisle is and how people should leave those kids alone.
All that happens, and it's just like getting used to school, yada yada, and then we have the moment that Edward and Bella meet, and it was as funny as every single meme led me to believe. Because she walks in and he looks at her and he's just like, he like retracts into himself like a turtle. He's like, ugh.
And the fan on the desk blows his scent toward her. You get the twangy music and he looks like he wants to vomit.
Yes. And she's looking at him like,
what the fuck did I do?
She's like that little girl, the mean girl. She's like, the little one who's like perturbed by her sister having an insane emotional reaction to going to Disneyland.
The part I like is the fact that he has to go and try to get his class changed
immediately.
Yes, he is desperate.
Can you switch me to another biology?
It needs to happen. I can't be near her. And Bella's like, what the fuck did I do? I just got here. Like, why do you hate me? Like, so she has a whole thing where she's like, she wants to basically like give him what for about it. And when she goes back to like, I'm going to fucking tell him what's up, he's not even there. And she's pissed. Like, she's annoyed.
Right?
Like, where the fuck did he go? I need to fucking yell at him. Because you know what? She's like, everyone else here loves me. What's your fucking problem?
Exactly. Do you know I came from Arizona?
Given all the information I had until that point, I would have been like, Bella, these Mormon children, they are vampires. They're going to kill you. You're in danger, girl. You need to get out. You got to get out of Forks. They're going to kill you. But you're in danger.
Like when you're a teenager, you're so hyper aware of yourself that you think everyone is aware of you at all times.
Yes,
and drawing conclusions about you and from your 11 million flaws, like what that John Mulaney Jack was talking about.
I went to see Cirque du Soleil at Navy Pier when I was a kid, and my brother came, and he was like 12 years old, and you remember being 12, and you're like, no one look at me or I'll kill myself.
And 9 times out of 10, they aren't aware of you because they're so busy focusing on themselves. And like for normal people in the dimension we live in, that 1 time out of 10 that someone is paying attention, that's what you use to target your anxiety and power that for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. But in this story, the 1 time someone's paying attention to her, it's a vampire who wants to eat her because she smells like a rack of lamb. Like when you're creating art, you have to be like intentional about like knowing your audience, who you're speaking to, and what do you want to convey. If both Stephanie Meyer and Catherine Hardwicke intended to make like high adolescent melodrama, they knocked it out of the park.
They did. They sure did.
It's just super interesting, but they got what they wanted. And like, yet I asked Claudia, remember if she'd ever seen it. I have a 13-year-old daughter, everyone. By the way, yes, I have children. I asked if she'd ever seen it or been interested in it, and she said, no, I haven't watched it because it seems goofy. And I was like, a member of your target audience thinks it's goofy?
It had a time, like, from like 2015 to about 2012. And if you were not in that, if you didn't like it then, it looks goofy.
Like, yeah, to me, it has always been goofy, because at those times I was too old for it. And like I said, I prefer my vampires, grown up and horny.
Like I said, it's a new metal. Like, everyone has their new metal.
Everyone has their new metal.
New metal, you're right. That's so true. I was trying to think about what is the thing that is very... What would be the thing now, I guess? Well, the thing now, I guess, is... more boy bands again, because K-pop's really big.
No, but you won't know what your new metal is until it has gone away.
That's true.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to tell in time.
True. Yeah, I mean, none of us knew new metal was new metal when it was new metal.
Right?
So
It was just there. We were just into
like,
it.
oh, this is good music. This is fucking lit. This good shit. This rocks. I think we talked about it earlier. She's so klutzy and it's always brought up. Everyone's
Right?
like,
Actually, my core memory from this film is her falling on the ice.
Haven't hurt myself on set. I've hurt myself off set. And it's surprisingly difficult to do it on cue. I mean, I'm not the most graceful of people, but it's like physical comedy. It's hard to do. It's unless you're actually tripping, it's hard to make it just looks fake. But I'm doing my best. I'm no Buster Keaton, but
such a thing that when she has like a near-death experience, everyone's like, "Oh, it's because you're fucking clumsy." Like that was
you stupid clumsy bitch.
No,
You
literally.
stupid clumsy bitch.
Literally.
Yes, you stupid clumsy bitch! You stupid clumsy bitch! You're such a clumsy bitch and you're so stupid! You're so stupid! Oh, I love you!
I knew they were vegetarian vampires. Like I knew about that, which I'm like, that's what? That's not vegetables. That's an animal. I guess that kind of tells me a little about Edward's character a little bit. He might eat the least out of all the Cullens because he was so famished by the time she showed up that shit was overpowering. And he was probably, he probably looked constipated and like he had to take a huge dump because he was physically like forcing himself to not react to her and want to kill her right then and there. Because then you see at the beginning of the movie, he's the vampire that eats that deer, I think, that gets hunted right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So he probably hardly eats because if he was eating all the time, that really wouldn't have been a problem. So that's another, I guess, point in his favor where it's like, see, even for a vampire, like he doesn't want to harm as much as possible. He's soft and sensitive and he's non-threatening. You know what I mean? I know you guys said I gave her too much credit, but I do think it's funny that she is from a place called Phoenix, which is, you know, an animal that is reborn after dying, which is what will happen to Bella eventually. I do like that, and that she ends up in a town called Forks, which does exist, but she will be making a choice between a vampire or a werewolf. You know, that I love those little, if it's on purpose, then kudos to her. If it's not, I love happy little accidents like that.
The DVD extras are hilarious because I have the complete Blu-ray set. When you watch the 2008 DVD extras compared to the 2013 DVD extras, and you see Stephanie Meyer, you're just like, oh, she got money. You are rich.
The budget got increased for the film too, probably.
The budget got increased for all of these movies, but I don't know where, because they kind of use the same tactics.
I've seen a couple of people, and I really feel bad that I don't know exactly who it was because they had really good wording for it. So if you're that person, let me know and be like, hey, I fucking put that on Twitter, you asshole, credit me. I will do it. I just remember someone saying the movies are very lush, and they really are.
Sure.
Like, visually, these movies are actually gorgeous. Like, the whole scene where he's in the meadow with her, it's fucking stupid as hell.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
Like
all the greenery and everything. Yeah.
The greenery and the sun and the fact that he like pulls her from this gloom and doom, and it's like gloomy, and then it's like sparkling fresh sunshine in the fucking woods, and he's out there glittering like a diamond.
Yeah.
It's like, I see how if you were like a teenage girl, you would be like, oh my God, this is like breathtaking, like on paper even. Like it's one of those things, you know, in your mind, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so like, you know, like he's not really, you know why the sparkling thing kind of takes them away from the creepy factor of being undead. It makes them into just supernatural creatures that are not necessarily corpses. They are just different. To me, it kind of makes them more like the Fae or, you know, elves. They're dangerous to humans, not on purpose most of the time, and not like as a rule. I get why that was done. That's actually, to me as a writer, you know, that's pretty smart to like kind of defang them, haha, in a way. But so yeah, like
it's funny you say corpses, because I was thinking what the makeup was. Makeup was horrible, and I was like, what's the difference between pale and cadaver? Is the line that slim?
Yeah, but like you got to think it's the first movie in the franchise, so like they don't have it all together.
No, exactly. And they don't have a lot of money, probably enough money, because you'll notice when something is starting, like here, for an example, I don't know if we can go with this even good, but Game of Thrones, first season, wigs are fucking terrible. The wigs are awful. Second season, those wigs look incredible. I'll see what the second movie looks like because again, I haven't seen it yet. Still on this journey.
You're not
But
missing much.
I'm gonna enjoy it because we'll get to it because of the way it ends. I'm like, I need to see what this bitch Victoria is up to because she is interesting.
You expect a Hollywood investor to like read the script, and then you see like, then Victoria walks down the stairs, fade out, and you're like, what the fuck?
What's that ending? What does that mean? I mean, I guess
like
it's technically
one got away.
It's foreshadowing.
Like, well, they like 3 of them got away. That's the point. Like Blackula was just like, man, this motherfucker's crazy. And then Victoria is just like, I'm gonna get revenge for the person I was in love with, who clearly was fucking other people.
He was in an open relationship she didn't know about.
Exactly.
But Bella is asking all the questions that nobody else is, probably because she's not as steeped into this is just the way things are in Forks. She's like, you guys just don't fucking question the fact that these really weird pale kids are always together. And like all this stuff is kind of happening. Like, we're not going to talk about that. And they're like, nah, it's Forks. What are you going to do? That's just Forks for you. But I like it that at a certain point, after Edward saves her, Bella's putting 2 to 2 together. And there's a scene where Carlisle literally has this expression on his face where he's like, ah, shit. she's asking too many questions.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even know what she's doing, okay? Yeah. So I know that the car scene was ridiculous, but it had to happen because it pushes her to go like, wait a minute. Like, you were over there, then you're over here. And then fucking Edward gaslights her ass. He's like, was I? No, I was like tying my shoes somewhere else. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, so she is really the only person to ever question like anything. So
in this town of 3000.
Yeah, it's,
with her big city Arizona ass questions.
So they have that thing where she's not sure, and I don't even know if we're sure. He shows up in her fucking bedroom.
I think that is a classic, vampire younger woman move because Angel did it to Buffy.
Was he gonna kill her?
No, I think
he just wanted to smell her.
Yeah, I think he's very, I don't want to say obsessed. He is obsessed with her. He's very interested in her, but I think it's because, to my understanding, Edward has never felt like this about anybody before.
Right.
This is foreign. This is very foreign to him. He's used to being like, ugh, humans, whatever. I'll just eat some animal and I'll be fine. But even like having a steady diet of like vegetarian meals is not enough. And he's like, I can't stop wanting to be around her.
He can't read her mind, and the smell
drives. So he's intrigued.
Crazy. Like, I know this is the genre of boring women and exciting men, YA novels.
There's a reason, because Bella was specifically made for a female reader to put themselves in her shoes.
Yeah.
Also, because I was a person who was very into fanfic during that time period, there was a lot of fanfic where it was about you, the reader. And it would literally not have a name for the character. It'd be from your point of view, say your name or YN. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was big. Self-insert stuff was real big at that time.
Yeah.
And I get that's why they have the whole lion and the lamb thing too. That's the weird little thing. I'd have to look more into that. It has to have a
Which, by the way, we confirmed that they're not in the same environments.
They aren't. Yes, they do not live in the same environments. 100% knew that the lion and the lamb is a Bible verse.
Yep.
Okay, so
when I first read Revelations, I really pictured sheep in the big city sheep. Just like this, but with blood. So every time he talked about the blood of the lamb, I pictured that lamb with those eyes.
It's Isaiah 35:9. Cast the lion as metaphorically forbidden in the future paradise. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon, and shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. Yet Isaiah 66:25 and Isaiah 11:6-7 respectively reference such formerly ravenous beasts as becoming peaceable. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together. The lion shall eat straw like the ox, but the serpent, its food shall be dust, because serpents are bad. The wolf shall live with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid. The calf and the lion and the fatling, probably pigs, I don't know. And little child shall lead them. So I guess that's again more clues that religious person wrote this, because the lion is being reformed by the lamb.
It takes 4 movies to get there.
I will enjoy every second of it. If it's as zany as this first one, I'm gonna have a great time.
I made it a point to not like know what was going on in between the movies because I would just rent them. Like I would go to Blockbuster and just rent the fucking movies. R.I.P. Blockbuster.
Great place. They should bring that back. Kids would love it. Kids would think it was fucking great. Are you kidding me? They love 90s shit. They would be so thrilled.
They should really hop on that nostalgia train. There's plenty of mall space that are open. I would buy a mall space and make a tiny Blockbuster out of it.
Nobody else do this idea. This is ours. No one steal it.
Every time it would come out, I would rent the DVD, watch it, and be like, I don't know why people like this so much. Like every time, like it's not like I got suckered into it, but it was just like, well, I've already finished the one movie. Let me go to the next.
You have to complete it. You're a completion,
right?
Yeah, like, gotta do the fucking next movie.
I'm the same way. Unless it's truly awful garbage with no redeeming qualities, I will generally finish anything I start. Yeah, and I mean, and again, I don't like even saying like bad. It's just it's very silly, and it's not technically geared towards me at the age that I came out. But it got done. It got made, and people loved it, and it was a phenomenon. We can't deny that like everybody knew Twilight, everybody knew Edward, everybody knew Bella. They knew the tropes. They knew everything. So yeah. It's just really fun to watch it now, though. Like, how many years later? Almost 20 years later. It'll be 20 years next year. No, wait. Since the book came out. It'll be 20 years now. In 2028, it'll be 20 years since the movie came out. Yeah.
It's 16 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you would have been pregnant watching this, you would have a sophomore in high school.
It's as old as its intended audience now.
Yes, that's so funny. It's a teenager. It's in its adolescence phase.
Yeah.
So, all this stuff, whatever. Now, okay, this is the one thing I did kind of like really side-eye hard like was when they had the flashback when Bella's talking to Jacob and they're just like reconnecting and he's like, yeah, my ancestors were supposed to be wolves and there were these people or something or monsters, and then the flashback is the Cullens wearing what can only be called Party City gangster mall wear. Gangsters and gangsters malls is what they're doing with their fucking fedoras. And the thing is, they're always and Drew will back me up, they're always in their goofy attack pose, which is very Bela Lugosi of them if you think about it, the arms up, like, clawed hands. So that's a little, I guess they took that from old vampire stuff, but the fucking, and I'm gonna fuck this name, is it the Quilute? I don't know how to say it. It's someone use the Google Translate to tell you, because it'll sound it out for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it wrong because they're an indigenous people, and I don't know if that's the word they use for themselves, but I know they're a real indigenous people.
Yeah.
And that's been the beef with a lot of people, and a lot of people's beef with these books and Meyer herself is that, like I said in my not so nice way,
Quilute.
Like
Quilute.
Quilute. There we go. I don't want to say Quaaludes because that's not what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Quilute. Anytime she's talking or anytime the Quilute people are on screen, you can definitely tell that a white woman pulled all this out of her lily white ass. Like she was just like, I mean, I know some things, but I'm just gonna do what I want.
Yeah.
So they're wearing fucking hats that look like wolf hats. What is that? What was it? It looked like some shit you would get today from
for what happens in the later books.
It looked so stupid.
Yes.
It looked like something you would get from Disneyland.
Yeah.
Instead of like
super basic.
If they were gonna go full on and just be really, let's say it racist about it, which they probably were a lot of the time, they should have just had the skins.
The Quillians didn't want them to be featured in those books. They hate her.
I don't blame them because they're basically fucking props in this movie, and it's you know what's new.
Jacob is a prop the entire time. The only time that he really was interesting was New Moon.
Yes.
And it ends once Edward comes back.
Yeah.
After she sees him in puddles and different shit. I mean, these movies are just messes. And I know, like I said earlier, I don't want to make fun of them, but there's so many funny things,
interesting choices.
The diner scene, because I might be conflating two diner scenes in one. That's when the wild Stephanie Meyer appears. But
a wild Stephanie Meyer appears.
They have that scene and she's eating the veggie burger, and that's when her dad asks her, so you like any boys? If you watch that scene, Kristen Stewart is shaking a squeeze bottle of ketchup, and she's shaking it out like it's gonna come out, but it's a squeeze bottle of ketchup.
They were like, just do something, and she's like,
let me go act.
To be fair, wasn't this one of her very first big outings though? After what's it called, Panic Room with Jodie Foster? Wasn't this one of her big first things?
If you look at, she has a track record. She's just not good in these movies.
No, but I'm saying
she's in Zathura. She's in other things.
Zathura is a great movie. That might have been a before this. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a movie she did with Adam Brody. That was really good. And you're just she can act, but she's not good.
Oh wow. Okay. So Speak. Ever seen her read Speak?
Oh, that's about the girl who becomes selectively mute after being raped, correct?
Yeah, that was her, right? So she had a slew of good movies before this. So it wasn't actually it wasn't even her first major role. She was in
was this her big blockbuster role then?
Yeah, true.
It's not really a blockbuster because it's more of a sleeper hit than
but I mean, it's the thing that really catapulted her career was Twilight.
Yeah.
Because then after Twilight, she got those movies that I made you watch that you're still mad at me for.
The Snow White movies.
Snow White movies.
How many of the Snow White movies are there?
Two. It's the first one, and then the second one is a prequel, I think.
Yeah, it's a prequel.
It's about Charlize Theron and her sister, who is Emma Blunt.
Yeah, because it was one of those times where two of the same exact movie came out. So it was Snow White and the Huntsman, and then Mirror.
Yep.
Yeah, they pretty much Dante peaked their volcano.
Dante peaked their volcano.
They deep impact their Armageddon. Same. They no strings attached. They're friends with benefits. It's that type of.
Oh God. Okay. So we get to this. There's there's a normal movie embedded in all this vampire stuff happening because La Push Beach, bitches.
It kind of looks pretty cool. I've never thought of hanging out in a beach on a rainy day in a parka, but it actually looks pretty cool.
But apparently it is a real place, and apparently it is very nice because it is on the Quileute reservation. Very pretty place.
I'm really sorry for the people of that area that it's real, because I'm sure it's probably slowed down by now, but oh God.
Man, 10 years ago, that shit was probably gnarly.
The girls that grew up watching Twilight are probably still generating a lot of their thing because now they have the capital to do it.
Well, and Forks does embrace it. The city of Forks does have a museum. They've got hey, this is where this happened. This is where this happened. Why wouldn't you?
They want the tourist revenue, I'm sure. Of course.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be this famous, this fucking cultural fucking touchstone of a movie was, made her. Was it a good movie? We don't know, but it was. Everyone saw it. Everyone knew about it.
One thing that I wanted to talk about is the scene where the Asian girl with the glasses is talking
Angela.
to Bella and Jessica, and she's just like, we don't know what to do for the paper. Bella, you know, because Bella is like hilarious. Bella says, I don't know, you should do something about anorexia. And then Anna Kendrick kind of cuts a fucking look like, oh, Anna Kendrick understands acting because it's like, my character is fucking bulimic. So when she says that shit, I'm gonna make a face.
Yeah.
This is why a year from now you're getting nominated for an Oscar, because you're a really good actress.
Yes.
She does the internal work.
Yes.
Like,
she has the journal and she's writing down things that already happened to Jessica, and she's
not gonna lie, like if I'm Anna Kendrick on the set of Eclipse after I get nominated for an Oscar, I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing here?
she's
I hope she got a raise.
Contact is what she's doing.
True.
You know, honestly, it does speak to her sort of work ethic, because it's like, even if she didn't have a contract, she probably was like, I'm not going to make them cast somebody because that would be shitty.
Yeah.
I'll just come back and do my part and go. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Can't put her. I would do the same thing because they probably did pay her more. I would do the same shit too.
There's nothing I respect more than an actor who cannot turn down a paycheck. This is why Giancarlo Esposito is one of my favorite actors now. He's just like, I was broke and I wanted to kill myself. So this is why I'm in every fucking movie.
And Christopher Walken's been in so much stuff, he doesn't even remember half the shit he's been in anymore.
He doesn't remember what happened to Natalie Wood on that boat. So like, I kind of really take that with a grain of salt.
But no, yeah. So
R.I.P. Natalie Wood.
I really miss my nigga.
Yes. Sorry. So then we get to the point where she's trying on, you know, prom dresses, and
the prom dress scene.
Prom dress scene where Jessica's got opera gloves to match her dress. And Angela's so cute in the movie. She's so adorable all the time. But she's no problems there. She's just adorable and just being nice.
Yeah.
And Bella's like, I gotta go. And then like she's doing her research, which again, only person in fucking Forks to be like, let me utilize the local library, the local whatever, and read about this stuff. And it's so funny watching her do her whole research montage where it's like, you know, this type of person, this type of creature, this, and she's like,
seriously,
they live forever. They drink human blood. They're pale.
It's a weird thing about that. At least in the book, she talks about being really well read. Like all the stuff that she's been assigned in English, she's already read. She already read Faulkner. Who reads Faulkner in fucking high school?
I guess Bella.
But how are you this well read and you don't know everything already about vampires? Why do you have to look up stuff that I feel like is common knowledge among people who read books?
That is funny. That is funny.
Google searches in movies are always hilarious.
Right?
Where it's just like,
oh,
product placement.
Question mark? Question mark? So she has her whole thing. She like loses track of time, right? And here's one of the scenes that is a little overwrought for sure, where she's by herself in a dark alley and like three guys just show up and are like, guess what? We're gonna rape you. Guess what? Like they're just like, this is what we're here for. And they're like, they're really like, hey, why not? Why not? You should hang out with us. Yeah, hang out with us. Hang out with us. I'm like, guys, you weren't even remotely being like inviting. You were being threatening from the very first second she sees you.
And the crazy part about it is you're raping somebody in a small town and you're raping the fucking sheriff's
the new girl
daughter.
The one that everyone knows everything about. And
you're gonna go to jail. Like you're gonna go under the jail if you do this. Obviously rape is bad, but raping somebody who can find you is even worse.
Yes.
And then obviously
somebody who can actually bring results as a part of you doing that.
Thank you. And then Edward fucking does his best Dominic Toretto and comes in with the Volvo and it's just like, not today. It's like, I'm coming in with this fucking Volvo C30 hatchback and hey, I'm gonna whoop your ass. Like, well, he didn't even say that. He just gives him a fucking look. And he's just like, oh, so I can't rape him. Okay.
He literally growled. If you look at it and listen, he is growling like a dog. Like, that's what he does. I was like, he fucking growled at them. And they were like, whoa, hey, what's this? They're like, what's going on?
when I was doing a little bit of reading of the Volvo, it's different from the Volvo that's in the book. Okay. And so what happened was the people from Volvo are just like, well, this car is not doing so well. Let's put it in the movie so it could sell better. And guess what happened?
Yeah.
When prices, that shit went up. And so like, that's like a car that's popular with kids of the time and shit.
Yep.
And it's just hilarious. Like, you know, Volvo was just like, hey, let's have this motherfucker in a hatchback coming in like Dominic Toretto and saving the day.
What is the car again? A C what?
A Volvo C30.
I could see like a superhero driving it as their safe car.
That's one opinion. What's yours? The new C30 from Volvo.
Oh my gosh, you can get it for like 10 grand. So anybody, if you're a big Twilight person, you can definitely own Edward's car if you really want to. 10 grand.
The Volvo.
May I present to you the Volvo C30. This is one of those cars that I'm going to insist you see the cuteness of. I think it's lovely, but it's not as small as it looks. And when did Volvo become cute? Well, I would say when they made this car.
So we do have some spooky shit happening in the background of all this normal / whatever Edward Bella love stuff. There's three random vampires who are killing people all around town.
Yep.
And I think they finally kill somebody that an older guy who was part of the old man diner club. Those people, those old guys.
Wait, did they kill Butt Crack Santa?
Butt Crack Santa?
They killed the guy that everyone knows. And he's an actor that is known now. I just forgot his name. That happens and everyone's like, wow, there's been lots of like animal attacks and things like that. And then
they're all asking him at the diner. It's like, so what's going on with these murders? And then Billy's just like, well, these are what's going on with murder. I'm like, you're having an investigation. You don't have to tell the people in town unless you have more information about this. Like, no good cop does that.
But so her dad, Bella's dad, Billy, is like, Billy, not Charlie. Billy's his real name. What am I talking about? After all the wild
Billy
animal attacks are increasing, again, it's another Bella is clumsy joke. He tries to give her pepper spray, and the first thing she says is, I think I'm too clumsy for pepper spray. Like, she didn't say it, but she was about to say it. Her dad was like, you'll be fine. Just fucking take it. Just fucking take it. You know what I mean? When that man gets killed, they meet at the sheriff's station. And the thing that killed me is like when she leaves, that body is just being wheeled out in front for anyone to see. Like there's not a back entrance into the morgue. There's not a back entrance. They just like, here's the body, zip. Like we're zipping that bag up. That was wild to me. I could not believe
Bag him and tag him.
Right.
Bag him and tag him.
And then so then after all this is happening, like the plot is thickening and whatnot. Bella knows what Edward is now. Like she's got an idea. So she has a dream about him where he's like an old tiny vampire and she's got all the makeup on and it's dramatic. And my first thought was like, oh my God, I finally relate to Bella. She had a horny dream about Edward because he's a vampire.
Right.
Like I finally relate.
One of the funniest parts about knowing about this movie is the fact that the director, Catherine Hardwicke, didn't have final cut. Stephanie Meyer did. Stephanie Meyer went back into the movie and was just like, well, this is too sexy. Let me cut this out. This is too sexy. Let me cut this out.
Because, I said horny. What I mean is, he bites her neck and that's about as crazy as it gets, which, I get, obviously they're teenagers, whatever. But,
oh my God,
that made me laugh. And I'm like, oh, hey, she's showing something other than some disdain and curiosity for this person. So that happens. And then I forget how they get in the woods. Well, she's with him in the woods.
No, they have that weird thing where she's just like, oh, okay, you're a fucking vampire.
Yeah.
Let me invite you into the woods with no one around to ask you if you're a fucking vampire.
Yeah. And then when they're there, it's almost like she's bullying him a little bit. Like she's kind of like...
He bullies her the entire movie.
You pushed it away with your hand.
Well, nobody's gonna believe you.
True. This is they bully each
like,
other. It's a
Our
toxic.
bus is full. Get the fuck on. Like you're like, what?
Forrest Gump. You can't sit here. So, you know, one thing that made me laugh about this whole scene is that, like, when they're in the forest, there's a lot of those weird camera shots that are like big sweeping Dutch angles.
Yeah.
It's a moving Dutch angle. It's like, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, what am I supposed to feel like off kilter right now? Like, I love that immediately he's like, get on my back. We got to run. And then
let me show you my power.
I was like, this is like proto Naruto running here, like this goofy ass running thing they do.
When I go back and put this in the edit, part of me wants to add the fucking Flintstones.
So, you know, I was very excited when this scene starts. I'm like, oh, this is the famous speech. I'm so excited. I get to see it all like uncut and like, you know, in its full glory. So, you know, they're up there and it's like all of a sudden he's glittering and she's just like, oh my God, you're beautiful. He's like, it's the skin of a killer, Bella. he's like, so like, I can kill you at any second. And she's like,
but let me change you.
Right? That is the core of that, is her saying it's okay, like I trust you anyway. And like that's where I started getting a little lost, because I'm like, he saved you twice. You've not held his hand. You've not even really touched him. And we're both acting like we're in love now.
You're right.
We are
love at first sight.
Pretty much.
Love at first sniff.
I mean, and then there's just these weird lines where he says she's his own personal brand of heroin. And I'm like, sir, what were you doing in the time period where you were dying? Were we visiting a lot of, I guess, opium dens? I don't know. What were we doing with our free time? Like, why does he know what heroin is my question.
That sweet lady H. It's like
No,
that sweet lady B.
Lady B, sweet lady B in this case.
It's like, oh my God, your no personality is so hot.
Yeah.
We already talked about the lion lamb combo. I get it. She's gonna redeem him, and he's gonna, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of, and I mean, I get it. There's a lot of stories, and you know, even for adult people, where there is something that is intriguing about seeing something that's considered monstrous and dangerous, and knowing that that person is not a monster to you. It makes you feel special. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. A lot of people love, there's a trope that even I love in fiction, romance, whatever. It's called grumpy and sunshine. There's the grumpy mean person, and there's the sunshine happy person, but that grumpy person loves their sunshine person.
Yeah.
I love that trope because it is cute. It is to know that it's always nice to know that there's a side of someone that they only reserve for you. And I know that that's what this is at its core. He's supposed to be a killer and a monster, but she's like, I'm not afraid of you, and I know you won't do that to me.
Yeah.
Hark to the tale of Nelson and the boy he loved so dear. They remain the best of friends for years and years and years.
And by this point in the movie and in them meeting, they're already super in love. Forever.
They're in love. They're
barely
ready to tie the knot.
Barely talked. Not even touched.
Yeah. They just know. They both admitted it, so now it's true. That's one of my notes. I'm like, how can she be in love with him and they haven't even kissed? How is this possible? Like, but again, that's the idea behind a lot of the courtship stuff with a lot of those people who are very religious. It's like, you are around each other a lot. You can talk to each other a lot. You might be able to hold hands, but you are always with your parents. You're always with people. You're always getting to know each other and never doing anything else, because that won't matter until you're married anyway.
Right.
So that's why, again, one more reason we know it was written by somebody who's pretty religious. But I did write this. So again, if you know the person who originally tweeted this, I don't know, like email us, let us know, and I'll be like, hey, this is the person who tweeted that, or we'll write it in the notes, something. Someone basically said on Twitter a long time ago that there's no such thing as a straight vampire. All vampires are gay.
Oh, yes.
So I put in there, when I saw the way that Carlisle changed Edward, I was like, vampires are gay. This proves it. Gay. They're gay, gay, gay. They're so gay.
Seductive.
It's like,
what was the criteria of you selecting Edward as a vampire?
Because he was dying of the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Well,
Someone's
I mean,
always
why
dying.
the
why
flu?
save him? Like, what did he? What was so special about him?
In a way, he's like fucking Professor X, where he's just like, let me pick the cute, fuckable vampire people to make vampires, and like any ugly ass person, you're gonna die from like influenza.
I think the only one who, no, well, I think Rosalie was kind of rescued by vampirism, wasn't she? Because she has a real tragic backstory. That's why she's so mean. I'm pretty sure she was engaged to a guy who's really mean and abusive, and on the night of her wedding, something happened, and she was basically raped by more than one person.
Oh God.
And left for dead, like on the street in her wedding gown.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Carlisle or someone, one of the other vampires, like was like, well, I'm not gonna let her die because she doesn't deserve to die. And when she came back, she went and killed every single person that did that to her in her bloody wedding dress. I was like, that's actually pretty fucking metal.
Right?
I like Rosalie. Yeah. Her story is dope. Let's see about her. Like, it's funny because in the show, when they meet her, she's like, I'm gonna crush this fucking bull because I hate Bella. That was one of the funniest jokes. I'm getting ahead of myself, but we'll get to it when we get there. So yeah, the vampire thing, they're very gay. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
And then once Edward and Bella have like decided they're in love, Edward's like, I'm gonna do all my cool vampire shit around you without hiding it now. So when there's a dent in her fucking car, he just goes, boom.
Thanks.
And like pops that fucking dent out. And then what made me laugh is the person who does act like the shotgun dad is Billy Black. When he sees Edward with Bella, he's like, I'm watching you.
Yeah.
I've got 2 eyeballs on you, you pale motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's like, I can see you. Like, that was so funny to me. He's like, you better get your ass out here. This is werewolf territory. Like, he was like really mad about it. Oh, okay. So she goes to meet his family. And I was like, yeah, that's right. You're courting. So now you have to go spend time with his family.
Right.
Be around them, be chaperones, be dating. Mm-hmm. And the thing that kills me is that they're all cooking. And Edward is like, you guys don't even have to do this. Why are you making a big deal? And then like Rosalie's like, because they're like making Italian food, right? Because her name's Bella, which is fucking what? And Rosalie's like, is she even Italian? Like, she's so angry with her teeth together. She's like, she's not even Italian. And she like breaks the salad bowl. Because Bella's like, oh, I already ate because I know you guys don't eat it. I didn't want you to do it. And Rosalie's like, wow, you fucking suck.
And Esme's like, we made Italiano.
I know. We made Italiano.
Italiano. Yeah. I'm like
we don't remember what it's like to be human.
We're just doing what we think is normal, which is not normal.
There was a reason why we lived in Alaska.
Plus the 30 Days of Night thing, as the title of the other vampire movie where they're terrifying.
Which, like, now you saying that aloud, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Why they lived in Alaska. Yeah. I don't know why you wouldn't stay there.
I don't know. I guess they were bored. They needed more enrichment by going to high school to pass the time.
You know, if you lived forever, it would be boring.
Yes. That's why vampires are canonically very weird in all their literature. And it makes sense. They've lived forever. So they lose track of time. They don't know what's going on. That's why they're always literally, creatures out of time. And they don't change. No, you can't. That's why it is a big deal when they do change for the human that they fall in love with. It's like, ooh, this is, a big deal. But, so they do all that.
They matriculate a lot.
They matriculate a lot.
That was really funny.
The wall of graduation caps.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
That was funny. I don't know why he calls her Spider Monkey.
You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
People really latched onto that for some reason. I really never got it.
It's so weird. I'm like, you could have called her anything else, but that's fucking bizarre. So they had that whole thing where he's like, "Look at me running you up the tree. This is great, yay!" And it's just
terrible
a bunch of
CG.
What? Oh, terrible CG. Yeah. And then we just get a bunch of like normal life check-in stuff. Like Mike is desperately trying to ask her to the prom.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, no offense, but no."
Point of order. Drew, as the resident heterosexual male here, have you ever been nice to a girl without the intent of trying to get into her pants?
Yes. Like, you can't live in society with, well, you can if you're a fucking monster. But yes.
Because it's plain, the only reason why Mike really talks to her is because he likes her automatically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Mike is not a bad person.
No,
he's not. No, he's a sweetheart.
He's a high schooler, so that makes sense because he doesn't know better. But even then,
I think it's a disservice to the character.
Which is going to lead into a funny thing when you watch the next movie.
Oh, I cannot wait.
Well, I need to go home.
My notes in here are just the same thing I've always been saying, is that Charlie's the only normal person in this movie. He's just trying to do his job and take care of his daughter. God damn it. He's the Reba McEntire of this movie. He's like, I love my daughter. I do my job.
If we're gonna get ahead, because obviously we need to talk about the baseball scene, but after that, when the dude is just like, well, I gotta go kill Bella. That scene where she's basically saying, like, breaking her dad's heart so she can leave him alone, so she doesn't get him killed and stuff. This is a really serious ass scene, and then you see Edward Cullen just like in the doorway, like hiding. Like, that's funny. But I've always likened this. There's a movie called Happy Death Day, and Happy Death Day is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous movie. I love the movie. I think it's fantastic. It's ridiculous and shit. And there's a scene in it where the main character has been named Tree, has been avoiding her father because her mom died like around her birthday, and she fucking hates it.
They have the same birthday.
Yeah. They have the same birthday.
Yeah.
It's essentially Groundhog's Day. Like, she gets murdered every time. She ends up, talking to her dad on one of the days, and it's this really emotional scene where you're like, this is Happy Death Day. You don't have to do this. Like, this is an amazing scene, but this is Happy Death Day. Like, you don't have to put this scene in this movie. And that's how I feel with that scene with Twilight, where it's just like she's breaking her dad's heart, and it's really the only bit of acting that you get in the entire movie.
Yeah.
And you're like, this scene is too good for this material.
Yep.
That's funny. There's always a scene like that, though, in movies like this, where you're like, why is this here? Like,
they accidentally got it right.
Yes. So, okay. So this is one thing that kind of, we have a bunch of just, normal life stuff. Her mom is just like, oh my God, are you dating? Oh my God, what's going on? Tell me everything about it. And it's like, her mom
being
is
the friend mom.
She's the friend mom, because again, too busy getting dicked down by her baseball husband. Wherever he may go, she goes too. When he says he likes to watch her sleep, and he shows up in her bedroom, and they have that weird, like, this makes sense that it would happen moment, but they're in the room and they finally kiss for the first time, and I'm like, this is obviously his first kiss too. Maybe hers, maybe both of theirs. It feels like it's both of their first kiss. Like,
right?
I'm like, is this his first kiss too? Because it seems like it. Like, it's the quintessential too much too soon for both of them, for him mostly, because I did not realize in this scene, I was like, oh, she's in her undies. This is a big deal. This is very intense for this movie. This is like, whoa, hey, what's going on?
It was probably longer before Stephanie Meyer cut it.
Yeah, Stephanie Myers was just like, is there a way that we could CG some pants on her?
Like, paint them on cell by cell like they used to. Put clothes on people to censor it.
Yeah. That horrible Microsoft Paint editing on anytime it's Showgirls on like TNT or something like that.
Yeah. So then he has a whole thing where he's like, we have to stop and da 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 da. And
she apologizes.
Yeah.
That is terrible. It's not a great precedent to set for young women watching this movie.
Nope. It's
to apologize for their bodies or how they behave in intimate situations. Weird.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like a lot of people are saying, like, you know, as someone myself, I was a teenage girl. You are definitely horny as a teenage girl. Like, you're a teenager. You're nothing but weird horniness and hormones. That's what you are at that point. That's literally everything.
And you shouldn't apologize for it.
No, it's
and they got her apologizing for it.
Yeah, it's a normal, you know, step in your development to feel that way about people, whatever at that time.
Edward is the one who's abnormal here.
Yes, he's the one. Well, he's the, you know, I feel like him and his family obviously are, like, again, the stand-in for Mormonism religion, and they're bringing Bella into that very much, you know.
It
So that's why he's like,
you're to turn Mormon.
So, you know, he's the one who's like, I have to abide by the rules here, you know, and she's like, you know, oh, but I don't know the rules and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then again, we get my favorite
thing. Let me go Google it.
Google did that. Wait, did Google exist then? Yeah, Google exists.
Vampires?
Right? I know you're pale. Your skin is as cold as ice. I love that she's like, wow, Edward, your hand is so cold. Why is your hand so cold?
Damn, Edward, like, I'm trying to turn up the heat in this Volvo C30 that has 2.2 liter cylinders. Your hand is so cold. For some reason that we have these heated seats and the car drives diesel. Is there any reason why you're cold? Holy shit, you're a vampire. Now let's go back into your Volvo C30 that gets 28 miles to the gallon. And did we mention it was a Volvo C30?
It's a Volvo C30. But again, like I said, you can buy one for about 10 to 15,000 grand. You know, they're good cars. They're gonna last you. All right.
The Volvo is what, to Stephanie Meyer, is what trees are to Tolkien.
Yes.
Talked about it way too much. Described it way too much.
That is her favorite thing in this movie, besides Edward.
So you're basically saying that a Volvo C30 is Intmoot.
Yes, it is the Intmoot. Then we have Edward meeting her dad, sort of. They kind of meet, but they don't really meet. They do. They're just like, hey, I'm me, you're me, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mentioned that earlier. I like that her dad has the shotgun moment, but not because he's making it a shotgun moment. It's just
he's like, I guess I should do this.
The text is telling you, hey, he's a dad and he's got a shotgun. But he doesn't go down and be like, hey, I'm a dad and I have a shotgun. But I guess it's kind of a moot point because he's the sheriff and Edward knows that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of those things. But he's actually pretty nice to him.
He knows he got the blicky.
What was that? Sorry?
He knows he has the blicky.
Oh, God. So that's when he takes her on this infamous outing with his family that I will let Drew talk about because I know it is his favorite
baseball
part
bit.
Of this movie, the baseball bit.
The hat is my favorite thing because it's too old-timey and the bill is too long, like Smalls' hat.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Oh my God. So this is their very first like official date as like boyfriend and girlfriend or pre-husband and pre-wife because his family fucking acts like they're already married. Like
it's like you can have a first date with my family.
Yeah, that's how it would be. They have to be chaperoned at all times. That's why.
I've been watching the DVD extras with this, and as goofy as them like squaring up with the other vampires is like on camera, it's even goofier when you see the behind the scenes. You're just like, oh my God, this is just awful.
They're all Bella Lugosiing at each other.
Very West Side Story.
Like that.
Face off.
R.I.P. Natalie Wood.
I really miss my wigger.
Oh my God. Okay, so the baseball scene happens, and I think my favorite thing about it is that she's like, why do you guys wait till it's storming out? And like she doesn't understand it. And it's not because the sun makes them sparkle, which would, you know, reveal what they are, because if someone happened by, they would see them and be like, why the fuck are all these people glittering? But it's because the thunder masks of their giant, like their huge baseball hits that are like literally thunderous.
Which, you know, if that's the case, the ball would disintegrate.
Exactly.
Hello.
The science is not sciencing here.
Like Barry Bonds at the peak of his steroid powers didn't have enough force to hit the ball where the ball came off the cup. It looked like it, but like the ball would disintegrate.
Yeah.
So
Not here.
yes, like what are they playing with? Like, are they playing with like wooden stakes and just like, and like obviously they have fucking like pre-segregation baseball hats because they're old. I get that.
Pre-segregation.
But like once Blackula and crew show up, then they have those weird camera cuts where you're just like,
really Laurent? Isn't it Laurent? Isn't that his real name?
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll continue using the name that Drew.
no, I'm fucking no.
Blackula. It fits. He is
Okay.
Blackula. That's just
Okay, when they show up though, the thing that that made me laugh so hard is when they show
that
up.
fucking song that plays.
No, it's not the song. It's the fact that when they show up, they look like they're on the escalator at the airport. The flat one that you walk on. They're like, they're so smoothly. They're just like, we're smoothly walking in. Look at us.
Stephanie Meyer probably saw the original cut and she's like, this is too sexy. How can I make this unsexy?
Let me desexify this entire movie, please. No sexy.
Oh my god.
Zero sexy.
Zero sexy.
Continue.
And so when it's all happening, like Bella is just like, oh fuck, I don't know what to do. It's like, hey, we like playing baseball too. And it's like, no, you don't. There's only 3 of you. You need 9 people to play fucking baseball. Like it doesn't work like that.
Can we play too?
It's like, no, you can't. And then, once the dude gets a waft of Bella, he's just like, I need to kill her.
Okay, so he has a name, right? James, isn't his name James? But they all call him the Tracker. I'm like, is this like a designation for certain vampires? Or do they just know James as a vampire who loves to hunt? Like, that's what I was wondering. Because then, in my mind, I'm like, so they all know James as like an asshole who shoots big game, basically.
So he's the guy fucking Craven.
Yeah, he's Craven the Hunter, but he's a vampire, and he hunts, the most dangerous game of all. But he's a big game asshole. Those people that are like, look at all the animals I've killed. Isn't this great? You know what I mean?
It's
like
hilarious
in Ace Ventura 2, when he's like, yeah, thank you. This is a lovely room of death. Like, it's like, yeah, exactly. That's the vibe you get from James. He's that person you hate because all they want to do is talk about all the animals they killed in some other country than here. You know what I mean? He's that guy. We know what type I'm talking about. They're, a certain date in January. Those kinds of people were having an interesting time. You know what I mean?
That's Jericho's wife.
Yeah,
but
probably Undertaker.
Yeah. No, we would have seen the Undertaker if he would have been there. He's just like these fucking chuckleheads. Like he's one of those guys who doesn't think he's
7 foot of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
7 feet of him. Yeah.
Like it's hard to hide 7 feet, and as slow as he walks.
10, but who's counting?
It's like you see him walk out to the ring. That man takes at least 2.5 minutes to get there. You think he was just gonna be like, well, let me slowly walk into the fucking Congress.
Yeah, I'm not climbing anything.
They basically are just like, we need to protect Bella. And then that's when everything happens. And that's when like
immediately problem.
That's literally like the beginning of the movie. Like, I mean, besides the courtship, it's like because
that's the only plot. The plot is just that this
and I wrote
vampire group has come in.
And I wrote that, if it's like he's the tracker, and then Alice Green is the person who has premonitions. So in a weird fucked up way, it's like the Spider-Man universe where fucking Alice Green is Madam Web. And then the tracker is essentially Craven.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so that's why he calls her a spider monkey. Duh, guys.
Oh, there we go.
She's the Spider-Man.
Tap the temple. You remember, like, okay, so throughout the movie, Bella is one of the smarter people in that she's actually asking questions and figuring things out, but that is 2% of the time. 98% of the time, she's being stupid as fuck. Like, she does the dumbest shit, and I'm like, Bella, all your smarts went into research, didn't they? Because girl has no common sense. She has zero common sense. Like I can't even like list everything that she was doing that was dumb, but I was like, this is dumb. That's dumb. That's also dumb. This is very dumb. What are you doing? It drove me insane. You know, we have this whole James the Tracker thing, and it's very weird because it's very short. And Drew's right. It feels like it should have been the majority of the movie, but it's not, because that's not what this is really about. This is really about Edward and Bella's relationship. Everything else is kind of peripheral to that. It's important, but it's not the core of things. The core of this is Edward and Bella and their, you know, romance. So I get it. He's kind of tracking, and it was kind of like whatever, but she has to like make sure her dad doesn't get hurt. We talked about the scene where it's like accidentally great acting from everybody involved. Very like intense for this movie. They find out about her mom again. Did he read her mind or some shit? Or did he
find out what about her mom?
That her mom lived in Phoenix and she was going there or something, and they were going to use her mom to like lure her out.
You know what he did? He probably used Google.
He went to an internet cafe and he was like,
no, he went to her house and saw the searches, and she's like, vampires. And you're like, oh shit. She knows what we are now.
Gotta go. But that whole scene in the dance studio is batshit crazy, obviously. Like, because that man is just like, I am going to throw you around and break every bone in your body because I am having fun.
Yeah.
Which I get it. And Cam, is it Cam Gigandet? Gigandet or Gigandet?
Gigandet? Always read it like Gigandet.
I don't know.
Probably.
But that man was always an asshole in everything he did. He just has that face, unfortunately. He has high school asshole bully face. That's what he does. It's like unfortunate. No shade to him. He's probably a nice man. He's probably fine, but it is funny that his look was I'm mean and cast me as the mean person.
Yeah.
Because he's a little annoying in this, where he's just like, ooh, let me take my time. I'm gonna videotape you because this is for my collection because I'm a weirdo. And I get that Bella was in a lot of pain, but her I'm in pain and this is scary, I might die acting was a little weird for me.
Very.
Tell him to avenge him. Tell him.
And that fight was like, I mean, he fucked her up real good, but then when the other vampires show up, it's basically done. Like there's really no fight per se. It's just let's fucking overpower this guy and be done with it.
Yeah.
And I will say
and burn him. Yay!
He throws one on a little bit.
Right, and then they overpower him, and I was like, okay, I did not expect them to go this hard with the dispatching of this vampire. They fucking pulled him apart, took his head off, and then burnt him. I was like,
I don't know why Stephanie Meyer chose that, because in
Stephanie
a lot of
Meyer
vampire lore, it's just a stake to the heart. You know,
I think in some older stuff from Eastern Europe, you did have to behead and burn to make sure they couldn't come back.
It's like, I guarantee
I remember reading something like that a long time ago. There was some not the actual vampires, but like the bodies that could be vampires.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, to be sure, we have to make sure they can't move around at all.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to take the limbs off, cut the head off, and burn it, because that's the only way for sure we're going to be rid of this thing.
Yeah.
Stephanie Meyer had final cut, so she's just like, make this as like disgusting as possible. All right.
No sexy, but it does have to
no
be
sex. But God damn it, if it is not violent, I swear to God, I will fire you.
It's the American way. Nobody is horny. Everything is violent.
Don't have them drink any sort of soda. But God damn it, it needs to make it fucking violent.
No soda
the
for
burning
anyone.
thing. I suspect if it was from like older, like lore of vampires, maybe it's because like back in the day, they had to burn bodies that were sick.
Yeah. Yep. To get rid of all
that's probably exactly. It might have been when it come from. But like with these vampires, like normally vampire, how you kill it, beheading, sunlight, stake to the heart. Sunlight makes these people sparkle. So you got to take that part out. So I guess the only other thing is to dismember and burn.
There's a gift from one of the last movies where Dakota Fanning is the vampire Volturi girl, and she has the baby, and she's like, into the fire. And I was like, oh, that's right, they burnt them.
When she comes back, and it's like such a battered wife excuse. It's like, what happened to your leg?
Oh my God.
I was clumsy. Yeah.
No, literally. Like,
I fell.
My notes. Oh, the other thing that made me laugh is that obviously, like Drew says, they wait way too fucking long to make her a vampire, and it could have happened in this movie.
Or movie.
She had the venom in her, which funny, venom. It's venom, you guys. They're like fucking
exactly.
venomous snakes because they go suck out the venom like it's a rattler, like they're rattlers, and this is the wild west.
No,
Like,
she's Spider-Man.
You gotta suck the venom out. That made me laugh so much. I was like, suck out the venom. What is going on here? And then
It's fucking True Grit.
I know, like they go to exactly. Like this is True Grit, and we're like out in the desert. And that's the only way you're gonna survive. You gotta suck that venom out and spit it.
Yeah.
Which again leads me to question a lot of the biology of vampires, but that's another story for another time.
She went in a totally different direction.
Oh, and another thing that made me laugh was, Edward told her we don't need to sleep, but he is pretending to sleep all the time around her mom. So he's like, I'm asleep. Oh, I'm asleep. Don't look at me. I'm asleep. Like one eye open. One eye open. Like, can I pretend to sleep somewhere? Okay, yeah, I should. Yeah. But then at the very end of this, so at the very end of everything, I basically was like, I feel like I missed a whole section of this movie because it feels like they fall in love and there's no part where that happens except for the meadow scene.
Just tell us.
That has to be the meadow scene. That has to be when it happens because he's like, okay, she knows what I am. I know what he is. He says he's not gonna hurt me. I think he's not gonna hurt me. We're in love. Mm-hmm. That has to be it. Because like I was like, all right, that has to be the point in time when that happens. Otherwise, it feels like you're missing about 20 minutes of this movie.
Right?
Yeah, it feels like there's a whole chunk just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the whole Jacob Bellman. Then the thing again that Drew does not like is that the ending is Victoria being like in the back, like, all right, I'll be back, bitches. And then she's like, yeah,
gets her own music.
Her little cape,
her own music
with her little fur cape. But to be fair, she does look real cute.
It is
that little getup. Yes, she does look really cute. But like again, I'm like,
that was perfect casting too.
I'm like, Victoria, the man was getting his ass kicked and you were nowhere to be found. What are you mad about?
Exactly. This is on you.
You let him go in there.
Even Blackula was just like,
to be fair,
y'all on your own.
Exactly. He was like, this is white vampire business. I'm not getting mixed up in this shit. He was like, I'm done. See?
Mind his black ass vampire business.
He was like, I don't want to be.
I'm not getting this white ass vampire business.
Exactly.
Twilight is just one of those things that again glorifies both youth and whiteness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Like pale skin's awesome. Pale. Like it's that trope that we see often in romance where, the porcelain skin. And she can't be younger than 20.
Oh, yeah, that's true. The porcelain skin thing, that is.
Yeah.
It's like whenever women talk about like the romance novels and somebody's called dark and handsome, they don't actually mean dark. They just mean like not pale.
Exactly.
No,
maybe they can be in the sun without burning. That's dark for them.
But yeah, no, I feel
a confusing movie.
Yeah.
So confusing. We're probably going to be making fun of a lot more things to come. I think we definitely need to do the subsequent films because the second one is actually the best, I think, because it was better made than this one. And who was it that did it? It was Chris Weitz, right?
Well,
he did American Pie.
Oh God, really?
Exactly. So the second one is a pretty hard reset of what the first one did. So we definitely should do that later on down the line. But we'll have more bonus episodes where we talk about things that are not wrestling, and we'll break some more kayfabe up for you guys. But until then, things just end, just like that movie. It just ends. It just stops.